Have you heard of Tenguria? Just on the edge of the Milky Way, there's a planet unlike any other, rich in life, resources, and energy. Prior to Tenguria gaining its current name, it was known as Oxus. The plains of Oxus were a constant battleground for Munitorian tribes and other species, like the Silkans. It had not much going for it other than savagery, but this all changed when a calamity began. Red comets came crashing down from the heavens, earthquakes, flooding. The impact of these comets lasted for days, and the costs were severe. After a week, a people never seen before emerged from the mountains and the red forests that were surrounding some of the craters. They were my people. My ancestors were unlike any other species Oxus had ever seen before. They came in many complexions, shapes, and sizes. They called themselves Tengurians, and claimed they had lived in the forests of old for centuries prior to being kept asleep and hidden by their gods from the eye of any mortal. Some foolish rebels and savages will claim that my ancestors arrived through the comets, that they caused the calamity, and that we are demons who have no right to rule the lands that we hold now. But we know better than to listen to the words of savages and madmen, don't we? In the week following, an all-out war broke out. The Tengurians started infighting over who their righteous ruler would be and how they would govern, and so the Tengurian Civil War began. There were the Changao, a species of red-skinned, white-haired, and yellow-eyed Tengurian. They claimed the sun god had chosen their leader Teo as the new king of the Tengurians. The Changao were fierce warriors, sure, but in the end, their strength could not compensate for their lack of tactics, nor for their unquenchable lust for war. Then there were the Blackwings. They were known for their black hair, yellow eyes, and even the ability to manifest wings. They claimed Tenguria could only be ruled by the spirit of their reincarnated goddess. Izanamu was her name, and her council of priests. What the Blackwings lacked in strength, they made up for with tact and schemes and their ability to fly. And last there were the Tengu, my ancestors. We are known for our bright-colored hair and fur, our balance of tact, strength, and high morale. These traits turned the Tengu in a force to be reckoned with. The Tengu quickly rallied under the banner of their newfound emperor, my grandfather, Touma Tengu, and thus recognizing his right to rule. After a long and bloody war between the three tribes, the Tengu ruled supreme. My ancestors had the Blackwings bend in the knee, and the Changao? They were all wiped out during the Battle of Crystal Mountain. The once small, warring Tengu tribe transformed into the mighty Tengurian Empire, and as the Tengurians expanded their territory, they quickly came to blows with the Munitorian tribes, and another bloody war erupted, known as the First and Last Munitorian War, which ended after 2 bloody years with a Munitorian defeat at the hands of my ancestors. The following years, the Tengurian Empire established its capital city called Mumachi. With only the occasional battle to subjugate a native species, nothing stood in the way of the Tengurian Empire's might. And once a large portion of Oxus was conquered, my grandfather, Emperor Tobaru, officially changed the planet's name from Oxus to Tenguria. In the relatively peaceful years thereafter, my father, Emperor Torius Tengu, inherited the throne. He married my mother, Muzuki Tengu, and made her Empress of Tenguria. The Emperor and Empress had 5 children. Their eldest daughter, Kuramu, twin brother Torin and Toanen, the youngest daughter, Mizushi, and then there's me, Prince Touma Tengu. Growing up up as a Tengurian prince, it was certainly challenging to deal with the pressures and expectations of my family. But there was a lot of love and care too. Where my younger years were rather peaceful besides the occasional happening, my years as a young adult were turbulent and difficult in comparison. As I turned into a young adult, some of the Munitorians began to revolt. They had the audacity to claim that they weren't treated fairly, that my ancestors had committed horrendous deeds to their people and stolen their lands, instead of trying to negotiate. Some of the idiotic rebel leaders immediately called to arms and tried to start an all-out war. My siblings and I saw this as an opportunity to prove ourselves to the Tengurian people. We convinced our parents to assign us to garrisons to raise morale, whilst crushing the petty rebellion. With some hesitation and negotiation, our parents agreed. We were each escorted by elite units, and we saw our fair share of the battlefield, albeit not always at the front lines. The Munitorian rebellion lasted for only a year. Their attempts at using guerrilla tactics failed miserably due to the lack of resources and proper weaponry to take on the might of the Tengurian troops. I even got to keep one of their commanders as a manservant. When we desired more soldiers, we had to recruit them ourselves. I ended up winning over the support of the Munitorians from the Mutrashul tribe that still lived in the Pink Forest. With some effort and completing tasks for them, I managed to win over their loyalty and support. They have been by my side ever since, proudly calling themselves my Tengis. With my elite unit and Mutrashuli soldiers, we managed to aid the war effort significantly. But war awakens something in one's heart. A dark energy, one could say. War is never a good thing, but sometimes unavoidable. Not even a year went by before the Tengurian Empire had to face the biggest threat it had ever faced. The Koryo Patao, a gigantic fleet of highly advanced spaceships manned by space pirate lizardmen, known as the Koryo Patao, landed on Tenguria. With technology far more advanced than the Tengurian Empire had ever seen, the Koryo Patao demanded the following. Surrender your people to us. Serve us, and you will live. Disobey us, and you will die. The Tengurian Empire refused, and the savage lizardmen razed whole cities to the ground. However, the Koryo Patao were going to war without a functional supply line. After months of fighting the Koryo Patao, they started to retreat into captured Tengurian fortresses. They could have just fled from Tenguria, but they underestimated their foes. And before they knew it, their spaceships were getting sabotaged and stolen. With each lizardman that we killed, the Tengurian Empire managed to steal their advanced weapons, and so advance technologically. During the second last month of the lizardman invasion, my brothers and I were tasked to besiege our first fortress. My parents provided us with a much larger elite garrison, made up out of Munitorians and Tengurians alike. Our plan was to have Torrent's unit attack from the front and preoccupy the enemy. Tonen and I would support them by performing a sneak attack through old sewers that laid underneath the fortress. A plan that sounded like it could not go wrong. However, as I led my men through the sewers, we never encountered Tonen or his unit. As we waited for an hour, we could hear fighting break out outside, and we knew we had to continue onward. Once we were inside of the fortress, we encountered Tengurian troops. For a moment we felt relief, until one of them stepped forward and demanded us to surrender. Me and my men laughed, but the laughter was quickly silenced by the Tengurian soldiers shooting one of my men. A fight broke out between my men and the Tengurian traitors in front of us. A number of my elite guards evacuated me from the battle in an attempt to escape, but only a dozen managed to enter the sewers. We were ambushed by a large force of lizardmen. We tried our best to fight them off, but we were heavily outnumbered, and thus soon we were imprisoned in the same fortress that we were tasked to capture. The horrendous days that followed are not something that I wish to recall. Luckily, after a few days, my sister Kuramo led a successful siege and managed to free us all. Though some of my men lived, the damage to my reputation was done. After I had returned to Momachi, my brothers were terribly sorry for what had happened during the siege, claimed that they were fighting with deserters outside of the fortress, and were forced to retreat. To make it up to me, they had given me 2 new servants, Murasaki and Lei. We grew close very quickly, and I got to recover for a month in Mumachi before I started feeling ill. My voice became much higher, and my body became slightly more frail, and changed in a shape that I did not recognize. My advisors claimed that it was all due to stress. And at the end of the month, I suddenly received a letter. It was given to me by my brothers. It read the following: "Dear son, we've been informed of your failure to capture Hornhill Fortress. Though we love you dearly, the shame that you have brought to the Tengurian Empire must be undone. We have come up with a plan for you to reclaim your honor. We have tasked you with the conquering of the planet of Earth in the name of our family. We have readied a ship for you with 1,000 Munatorian troops and Tengurian servants and all the provisions you need. We believe in you, Touma, your mom and dad." I was heartbroken. I did not wish to leave Tenguria behind. As much as I was infatuated with the planet of Earth, I only got to say farewell to my little sister and my brothers, the latter who gleefully waved me off as I left for Earth. What I wouldn't give to see them again. As we got close to Earth, we noticed that one of our ships with reinforcements had flown off course. Our communication devices were incapable of contacting them. Soon after, our engines started to malfunction too. We were now crashing straight into the Earth. After a loud bang, everything went black. I woke up laying in a potato field, surrounded by my servants and guards that survived the crash. We salvaged whatever we could from the ship and had to sell a lot of it to assure our survival. One day, as I was begging on the street, a nice human couple walked up to me. They took me and my servants in and took care of us like family. Though they tried to teach me about the ways of Earth, I had never forgotten about my mission. I had never forgotten about home. Then, on a fateful day, I discovered V-tubing. Through V-tubing, I found a way to conquer the Earth without having to resort to violence. It took me 2 years, but before I knew it, I had gathered a legion of 1,000 Tengis. I had befriended a wizard even, who pointed out the suspicious behavior of my mates. He claimed that he saw them slip something akin to flower petals into my tea. I immediately commanded my men to search their rooms, and it turned out to be true. There were boxes filled with pink australite, a type of flower known for temporarily weakening the body, as well as stunting the growth, voice, and spirit of the consumer. Shortly after, I had Murasaki and Lei sent to the dungeons for life. After some intense interrogation sessions, they broke and admitted my brothers were responsible for the poisoning, though they did not know why. Shortly after the poisoning stopped, my physical changes started to revert, most noticeably my voice, which returned to its natural state. With my ever-increasing strength and recovering body, I will continue my quest to conquer the Earth, and then we shall build a bridge between Earth and Tenguria and prosecute my brothers for the Tengu Empire!